It's Columbus Day weekend 2021, and my two daughters, wife, and I have spent the weekend at Cowan Lake State Park, which is near Wilmington, Ohio. Over the past 2 days, I've hiked or walked more than 20 miles, and this afternoon I spent about 2 hours with my daughters paddling around the lake, and I am utterly exhausted. So what I thought I would do is make the easiest fire I know how to make, and that involves using a simple little ferro rod. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my ground up chaga. I ground some chaga up with a coffee grinder a few weeks ago, and I've got some really fine chaga dust, and I'm going to lay it on top of this really beautiful tulip poplar leaf. There's a big beautiful tulip poplar just behind me. This is my chaga powder. I'm just going to take a big healthy chunk of this, or pinch of this, and lay it on top of my leaf. Check the ferro rod to see if it's sparking properly. All right. See if we can get this chaga to ignite. It's trying to ignite. Just that easy. It's going to take a minute for that ember to build up. You see it smoking? It's easy to ignite. The lazy man's way of making a fire, but you gotta let it build, you gotta let it grow. Feed it with some of the chaga. When the ember gets big enough, I've got a bird's nest here. I'm using another tulip poplar leaf as my handhold, just to keep everything together. But what I've got inside of it is the inner bark from a white ash tree that I found not far from our campsite. Here's some bark that I found. I pulled the inner bark off the inside of the bark, crumbled it up, left it in the sun all day to dry, and that's what I'm going to use as my tinder bundle. Gotta let it build. It's a lazy way of making a fire, but you've got to be patient. Let's get all this out of the way. There we go. That's a lazy man's fire. That's the way you make a fire after you walked way too many miles and paddled too much. I thought I would show you how I use this tinder bundle to kindle my fire in the fire pit over there, but Mother Nature had a different idea. I'm going to show you that coming up next. Stay tuned. This log has been smoldering for about 20 hours now. Just goes to show you that you ought not leave a campfire unattended like we did, because it'll smolder forever. I was really shocked when I came back from a hike and found this still smoking. So I decided to see if we can kindle up a new fire. All I did was laid some logs that I cut up. I think they're ash, and the bark you see on top is bark from a dead ash tree. And it's smoldering like crazy, and I can see some red hot embers underneath it. I'm going to keep watching this to see if it'll catch fire on its own. All we did was lay some wood on top of those smoldering logs from a minute ago, and it's getting hot. Lesson learned. After about 30 minutes of smoldering, this little fire built up enough heat to auto-ignite. No matches. Just laid some dry wood on top of some smoldering embers. Embers that had been burning for at least 20 hours. Well, at this point, I would say that this fire is well established and it's going to burn for a very long time. I'm a little bit embarrassed to show this to you. Last night when we went to bed, I took a stick and I stirred the coals and dispersed them quite a bit like I usually do when I'm at a campground and working in an established fire pit well away from our campsite. And I didn't notice when I got up in the morning that there was a log that was still smoldering. When we came back after a long day of hiking and moving around the camp, we noticed that a log was smoldering and surely had been hot for 20 plus hours. And all I did was lay some new dry wood on top of it, and within 35 minutes it had built enough heat to ignite. I should have put that fire out properly. Should have doused it till it was cold to the touch. This is the way forest fires are started. I'm a little ashamed that I didn't take care of it better. So lesson learned for this old Boy Scout. Put your fires out, put them out properly. Embers can last a long, long time. And that's the way forest fires are started. So I'm a little embarrassed, but lesson learned. Maybe my mistake will help us both do better in the future.